Do hear a little bit of slight feedback in the background.
Don't hear it this end.
Okay.
It's an American thing. Oh, welcome, listeners, to Live News. I'm trying to figure out the new things that YouTube have done since the last time and find the live stream. It'll come in a minute, no doubt. But you've got two of us this month. It's just been a mental month. It's a short month and a busy month, and current affairs means that some of us are busier than others and have stuff to do. So you've got me and you've got Sparkle Puss, and I'm not sure what top 10 you've heard, or yes, it will have played in the podcast by now, but we haven't recorded it as of yet, and it's the 27th. Tomorrow's the end of the month, so we might run an old one. There's a possibility we can do one maybe Tuesday and make the show late, or there's another little thing that I could do instead. So not entirely sure what you've heard thus far, but you are here for live news, and I guess that's all that matters right now.
I'm sure the top 10 was brilliant, whatever it was.
Oh, it was amazing. I think it's one of the best ones we've ever done.
Yeah.
So, this month, what have we been up to? So, I saw a couple of movies. I don't think Sparkle was here last month. He and I tend to be the horror movie fans on the show. I watched the new Scream. Have you seen that yet?
No, it was one series I never really got into too much. I think I just saw the first one within the last year. Was like the first time I watched it.
Wow. The first one I thought was a great film, the way it kind of parodied horror films and itself. This latest one, I think it's all right. And the previous couple had got a bit weak. It's all right, but I think the scariest thing in it was Courtney Cox's new face. It's ridiculous what these people do to themselves. A couple of weeks ago, I went to theatre near us. It's called The Everyman. I don't know if it's a nationwide chain. I know there's a couple in and around Manchester, and it's waitress service until the film starts, and you sit like in either an armchair, or if you go as a couple, you sit on a couch, and it's all much smaller rooms, but just a great vibe in there. They do some funky food and drinks in the bar outside. So we went there to watch Death on the Nile, which I thought was okay. It's a good film. It's a great story. I do love Agatha Christie books and some of the film interpretations. The first version of that film would have been, 70-something, 78 maybe, with Peter Ustinov as Poirot. One of my favourite films ever. He's a great actor anyway, just his comedic timing and stuff. So for me, it was never going to live up to that, but it's worth a watch if you sat with, nothing to do and you've got access to Death on the Nile, and I would recommend you watch it. The cinematography's great, the landscapes and stuff, but there is a few scenes in there where the green screen is just so obvious. I mean, you can't see green, but it's done in front of a green screen, and it kind of destroys the moment a little bit. But I mentioned it to Paula at the end of it, and she said, well, I never noticed, so maybe you will, maybe you won't. But that's movies. TV, I mentioned last month or maybe the month before, a show, kind of under the radar show from Australia called Mr. In Between. I watched all that. 20-odd minute episodes. There's 3 seasons of it. Just a great show. Really, really enjoyed it. I highly recommend Mr. In Between. Books. There's one around at the moment, and it's like people are discussing it all over the place, and they've turned it into a TV show that's been running over here called This Is Going to Hurt. And it's like it's written as a diary of a newly qualified doctor working in the NHS over here, and just how mental it is, the hours he's working, and just some of the things that happen. Obviously, his patients remain anonymous and all of that, but really good book, quite funny. He is a talented writer. He's done writing for lots of comedy TV shows, and just a great book. Paula listened to the audiobook. She really enjoyed that. I read the actual book. Haven't watched the TV show yet, but might give that a watch at some point. Also on books, as you know, I mentioned last month that Smoke and Mirrors was part of the Snowdin Game Bundle, which is done through, Humble Bundle, where they take, this time it was 9 books and 3 featured books, 6 bonus books, and you pay what you want model. So you can either just get the 3 main books, or you can pay a bit more and get all the 9 books. So Smoke and Mirrors was one of the 3 main books. And that finished last Friday, and it sold 504 bundles. So I sold 504 copies of Smoke and Mirrors, and I think it was something like 98% of people paid the extra to get all 9. There's a few that didn't, obviously, but so I did okay out of that. Great to be part of it. And if you get a chance to work with them, they do software, they do games, they do books. If you get a chance to get one of your products on a Humble Bundle, I highly recommend it. Really easy to work with. Paid me like within 2 days of it finishing. They give it like, I think they always finish on a Friday, and they give it the weekend for people to complete payment, or maybe someone changes their mind and cancels payment. So they give it 48 hours or so for that to settle down, and then literally the money is in your bank. So great company to work with. Games-wise, I bailed on Legend of Zelda Spirit Tracks, the second of the DS Zelda games. And I remember playing Phantom Hourglass on there, and they're both very similar in gameplay and graphics and style and controls. But I remember enjoying Phantom Hourglass, but Spirit Tracks just... It's not a pun, but it just felt linear. Really linear, like go here, do this, now go here, do this. And it's just, it was just a kiddie game for me, so I bailed on it. I bailed on a couple of Zeldas, and yeah, that's not a great game for me. I then played, so there's been a game been out on various platforms for a number of years now, a homebrew game called Abbey des Morts, which is, Abbey of the Death Church, Abbey of the Dead, Church of the Dead kind of thing. It's a platformer. I think it was originally done on the Spectrum, so it's got those, real 8-bit style graphics, chunky graphics. Just a real old school classic platformer style game, but there's loads of ports for it. It's been ported everywhere. They just released recently an NES port, and I played through that. It's a game I've had on various platforms for a while. I've dipped my toe in, but I completed that on the NES. It is actually relatively short. You can literally complete it in an hour or 2. Probably 2 would be for most people playing it the first time. But just a great game, really, really well done, especially for like an indie title, a homebrew game or whatever. And I've been carrying on with Fate of Atlantis on Scum, playing it on my phone with the stylus. So I've been playing through that. Really enjoying that. Couple of tricky puzzles that I did have to look up. And the solution was just like so stupid that I wasn't going to work it out, but I've gone through most of it without any sort of guide or help. Wordle has been obviously talked about massively, and I do like puzzle games and word games, so I've been playing a bit of Wordle as well. And that is about it for me this month.
Nice. Man, I've been super busy with work trying to build an app. A sales app. So I've been doing a lot of stuff with XD and some script and just kind of pushing my skill set a little bit to the edge. So I've been going on 3-4 hours of sleep pretty regularly this past month trying to get this thing done for a deadline. So I haven't had a ton of time for gaming, but I've been able to flip on the old, streaming services while I've been working to watch a little bit. So the shows that I've seen have been I'm into that Raised by Wolf show on HBO Max. Finished up Peacemaker, which I thought was really good. Also watching a show with my lady called Servant on Apple Plus, which is pretty good, sort of M. Night Shyamalan uh, spooky show. I don't know. I think this is the third season. It's getting a little bit like, all right, just get on with it. I like that they said that there'll only be 4 seasons, so it has a definitive beginning and end. I think sometimes when these shows go on forever, you're like, where the hell is it going? So that's okay. And then we started this new show called Severance, which is on Apple Plus. Um, Kind of a strange sci-fi show about a gentleman that works for this large corporation. You're not really sure if it's in the future, maybe, where basically your brain gets severed, so your person outside of work doesn't know what your person inside of work does. So the guy that's in the office, his day just continually starts over and over again. He doesn't remember what happens outside.
Mm.
Kind of an interesting concept. Been enjoying that. Getting ready. I'm doing a big comic book show, a Comic Con here in June. So I've been bagging up comics and kind of getting this massive collection ready to sell. I think I'm probably only going to keep about maybe 50 of the probably 7,000 comics that I have sitting here. So a lot of work going into that. I haven't really been getting too much on the liquor side. I've been slowing down on collecting bottles. Trying to think if there's anything crazy that I've picked up recent. Midwinter's Night Dram, got another one of those, which is kind of hard to come by. And then as far as the gaming side of things, man, there's a lot of stuff on PlayStation 5 I'd like to get, but I don't have a whole lot of time to commit right now. So I think I'll wait until Horizon or Elder Ring kind of drops in price. I'm sure they'll probably drop a couple bucks here in the next 2 months. So I'll just wait for that price drop, and I'll have a little bit more time to play them. So I'll probably pick those up. But as far as gaming on the go, I always kind of enjoy. So I have the Apple Arcade. I've been playing Galaga Wars Plus quite a bit. Um, I think you have to have Apple Arcade to play it. And anytime you get a new Apple device, they give you like 3 months Apple Arcade Plus. So if you have that and you haven't activated, it's worth checking out. There's some great little games on there, and we play it on the Apple TV device too. But Galaga Wars is really fun. It's I don't know. I guess I don't know if Namco Bandai made it exclusive for this Apple Plus, but on the phone it's fun. I mean, I'm sitting at practice with my kids and um, play some Galaga. It's pretty challenging. I think I've only made it to the fourth station. You can like get continues and stuff and choose to continue, but you can kind of build them up over time. So I try not to use them too much, but that's been a lot of fun. And I did a little reflecting as far as like sort of how much I really don't like driving games, and I'm like, I need to play a little bit. So I figured, what do I have? I have Neo Drift Out on the Neo Geo. So popped in that cartridge and been playing that a little bit. It's a rally game. Have you ever played that, UK?
I don't think so.
It's kind of it's actually pretty shitty game. You could be like an Impreza, I think like a Camry, and there's only like 3 different options for cars. It's kind of a goofy asymmetric view, but it always kind of stunk, and I never really put too much time into it. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna keep trying. So I can get through. I think there's 6 levels. I can usually get through 4. There's some little shortcuts and things like that. So yeah, I'll try to put in some more time with some racers, some old school arcade racers. So as these inevitably come up in the future, I'll be able to articulate them a little bit better. But yeah, certainly some interesting news going on this month. Do you want to kick things off?
I can do. One that hasn't been sent in. I only found out about an hour or so ago, chatting to AD in WhatsApp. Andy Remick, you may know him from Memoirs of a Spectrum Addict and various other things. So he's been a filmmaker, a writer. He's sadly passed away. I don't know if it was yesterday or today, but very recent. There's loads of tributes to him and stuff on Twitter. So yeah, rest in peace, Andy Remick. So we've got one here from Neil. Someone did a making of Donkey Kong Country on YouTube. I thought you guys would like to see it. And absolutely, we would, and we did. I watched some of this. I don't think I went back and went all the way through it. It's about 25-minute video, something like that, but interesting nonetheless. So thanks, Neil, for that.
So have you gotten into the NFT game at all?
I haven't. No.
So, I've dabbled. I've talked to the listeners before about dabbling a little bit into the world of crypto, and probably certainly not as much as Scott, who got in quite early, but I've dabbled in and out of it a little bit, and doing this liquor collecting. There's like a group here. Like usually the way it works, like allocated stuff that's really hard to find. You have to like wait in line or know a shop owner, and then like hope that you get a good bottle or buy it on the secondary market and blah blah blah. So one of the large liquor shops nearby is issuing like these NFTs, and basically they're going to tie them, like you buy a membership, an NFT membership to this like club for 100 people, and they have a utility tied to them, and then every week they'll drop like 100 random NFTs to members, and then 10 of those will be linked to highly allocated bottles. So then you'll have the opportunity to buy the bottle at a retail cost instead of like waiting in line for a day and a half to hopefully get something. So I started getting everything set up with OpenSea and all this other crap, and kind of got into the world of NFTs. And then, with sort of this comic collection I have, kind of found out about Vivi, which is licensed by Marvel to make NFT utility comic books, with rare variants and collectibles. So I've read a little bit into this, and I still don't get it fully.
Yeah.
And there's like gas prices that you have to pay, and like people can, I think some of these IP owners can have in perpetuity like fees. So anytime an NFT trades hands, like they can attach like 15% transfer fee that would go, if I sold you, let's say, an NFT of something, and Disney was the IP owner, you would have to pay them 15% transaction fee for you to now own it. So they could basically attach fees to things in perpetuity. Like, so if Marvel sells a comic book, that's it. They made their money the first time they sold it, and then it's gone. But if they have this sort of, perpetuity fee attached to a transaction fee, anytime that digital comic book is sold, they get 15% transaction, right? So I could see why some digital licensing over games and electronic things could make sense, especially if you're buying a digital game in the future. I could see where it's attached to something, and then like the original owner could let you sell it and get some kind of fee. But one of the stories that Crazy Dave sent in here is that Team 17 announces environmentally friendly worms NFT. So it looks like Team 17 is licensing the worms brand to a third party so they can produce collectible digital artwork based on the most beloved IP indie game. And I guess that you can own some worms NFTs. They're gonna have ownership of them. Some of this stuff is like really confusing. It's like, what platform, what metaverse will these things live in? Can people change? But if you're hankering for a new NFT art project and you want to get some officially licensed worm stuff, that's available.
It was for about 24 or 48 hours. I thought I'd sent this one in. I don't see it in the list there. There was a massive backlash to this, and then I think it was literally like 24, 48 hours. Team 17 announces end to MetaWorms NFTs. So they did it via their Twitter account. So I don't know what the objection was. I'm like I said, I'm not too well up on NFTs, but you can't get worms ones anymore. Silly, very silly. So we got one here from Charlie, and it's another YouTube video. I might be able to get fancy and show this on the stream. Let's see. It is a Legend of Zelda map. There you go. It's going to be on the stream. Made up of 25,000 Lego bricks, and it is just stupid accurate. Like, literally every bush is in the right place with a Lego piece. It's crazy. Just, maybe it has it in commentary. I just kind of skip through it just to look at it. Maybe the commentary says, how much it cost, how long it took, whether, there's certain sets you need to buy to do it, or, I wonder if it it could have cost anywhere from 500 quid to 5,000 quid. I've no idea, but massive project nonetheless.
I love how they even have like the enemies marked as their color on there. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, this is super impressive. I would love to have this. I don't know what to do with it, but
yeah. Well, you couldn't play with it because if you moved a piece, it'd be in the wrong place.
Yeah. So David Gyrick sent in one here saying, doesn't look like it's slowing down anytime soon. It looks like the Nintendo Switch is now the best-selling Nintendo console of all time, overtaking the Wii. So far, they have sold, 103 million units. So it's the fastest selling console for Nintendo to hit the 100 million mark. That's crazy. I guess the Game Boy Color collectively selling 118 million units. The DS, which seemed like, you were just like handed one of those when you had a kid.
Yeah.
154 million units, but this is the fastest to hit 100 million. So good on them. Crazy. I didn't realize how long it's quite been out. They also go through and list some of the games. To me, the Switch still seems like a new system. I really haven't bought too much for the one that we have, but Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which was actually a Wii U game, has sold 43 million units. Animal Crossing, 37 million. Super Smash, 25 million. So, of course, all of these games are Nintendo first party. Mario Odyssey, surprisingly, 5th on the list with only 23 million. I mean, only 23, right? But
yeah.
Surprised Zelda isn't on their top 10 list here, because that being a launch game, and certainly what I consider the best game in the system. Surprising that it's not listed here. Maybe this is just inaccurate list, but they have Luigi's Mansion 3 selling 11 million, and no list of Zelda here. I gotta figure Zelda sold more than Luigi's Mansion.
Yeah, you would think so.
Yeah.
I know the original was massive on the GameCube. It might have been a launch title, actually, on the GameCube. But yeah, the Switch is a bit deceiving. I mean, they've had a couple of versions. They brought out the Lite, and they've got the OLED screen version now. But I mean, Millie has one. She brings it here when she stays here with me. And I don't know. It's never really interested me. It never grabbed me. I have played them, but to me, the controllers are ridiculous. They just feel like toys. Which sounds stupid about a game console, but you know what I mean? It just feels like a little fiddly kiddie's toy. And yeah, just not.
I think when you plug it into that little hand thing, that makes it more like a proper controller, it feels okay.
Yeah, I've done that, and I bought a third-party controller, which is more like, what you'd think of as it's shaped probably similar to like the Xbox controller or something like that. Feels more like a proper meaty controller than those little fiddly things, but yeah, I mean, she only ever plays Fortnite on it anyway, so crazy, crazy. Well, we got another here from Dave Lanky. Free point and click based on the Simpsons steamed hams sketch. And I've watched The Simpsons. I do like The Simpsons. I think it's a bit dated now. It's been going for God knows how long, 30 years or more probably. I didn't know what the steamed hams sketch was, so I had to go and watch that. But yep, someone has made a point and click adventure based on that one scene. So you can play that for free if you should so choose.
Well, we've had a couple news stories this month of things that are not doing well. So let's start off with the Atari. I guess Phoenix Atari is actually coming to Roosevelt Road. They announced on that they struck an agreement with a hotel group, and in Phoenix, Arizona, they're going to do one of their 8 hotels. I was shocked that this actually went through. Who knows what those licensing fees are? They're claiming that Atari will be entitled to 5% of hotel revenues. I know there's always like creative ways of like moving money around, and like maybe that doesn't include food and beverage or something else, but just surprising to me that they're able to pull this off. I haven't heard too much on their all that digital, tokens and some of the stuff they're doing, but I don't know. I'm going to be out in Phoenix later this year, so I'll keep an eye on it. I think if they actually do open one of these, I will go. I will say that the whole world of hotels, so I've done a bit of work in that space. It's kind of crazy. Like they're all basically individual franchisees, at least here in America. So, like the Choice Hotels group, they have all these different flags, like Comfort Inn and Cambria and stuff like that. And basically, the hoteliers just are paying for the licensing. Like they can be a Hilton one year and then switch and be something else. So like they're just paying for that flag, and then they basically give like a percentage licensing away to whatever group that is, and then they have to abide by their standards, whether that's like their breakfast program or the soap or whatever the hell else like kind of goes in there. But a lot of times these families will own multiple hotels kind of all in the same area. So they may own like a Budget Inn, a Comfort Inn, something else, and then they'll own it for a couple years and then sell it to a family member. And like the whole world of hotels is kind of crazy. Very few hotels are actually run by corporate entities. They're usually just all franchisees. So anyway, when the Atari hotel pops up, I will I'd certainly like to visit it and check it out.
Yeah, we've got an Amico story coming up, but I did notice a comment. I forget where it was now, but someone's saying amazing, that the Atari is actually the only thing that's come out, and the Amico still hasn't. All the shit the Atari got, for whatever it is, a PC in a box or whatever, but it's out there, and some people have it. So we got some feedback on last month's top 10 from where is it? Oh, I forwarded it. That's why his name's not there. Doug0909. And usually when Doug contacts us, it's because we haven't mentioned the Odyssey 2. So he took umbrage at our last month's top 10, which was top 10 games never featured in a top 10. And he said, "Why the F do you people hate Ed Everett? Not only do you not put a single Odyssey 2 game into a single top 10 for the 30 years or whatever you've been doing this show, but you can't even put one in your honorable mentions for top 10 games never used in a top 10. I mean, this guy makes Pac-Man's dots move in a game that blew 2600 Pac-Man out of the water. KC Munchkin in brackets. After they use his game for copying Pac-Man, he throws him in a maze to chase and eat centipedes. And he goes on and on a lovely little rant. So the reason I never mentioned the Odyssey 2, I've never played one. I've seen, maybe the odd time at Expo, but nobody I knew had one at the time. Nobody I know personally has one now. You see them occasionally at Expo, but it's just not a system I have any knowledge of, affinity with, experience of. So I think Scott is more familiar with it than I am, and certainly, it's more a more American system. Was that the one that was called the Video Pack over here? But they were just never that popular. Never crossed my radar.
Yeah, I was a little young for it. I feel like maybe, someone's older brother had one or something when I was a kid. I've certainly seen them more at shows and conventions than I have like playing them at a friend's house type thing. So I'm kind of in the same boat with you.
Yeah.
I sent one here because I'm always a fan of the Kickstarter. I certainly still haven't got my foldable spoons. Still waiting on that.
What? Who'd have thought it?
Yeah. Well, now they're blaming it on international relations and stuff, and why the spoons haven't been made. But this one is pretty cool. So this is Yacht Club Games. I'm sure a lot of our listeners have played Shovel Knight. Have you played Shovel Knight?
Yes.
Yeah. So these guys launched another Kickstarter, and it's called Mina the Hollower. And it's, it kind of reminds me of like a Game Boy Advance game or something. Little bit of Zelda-esque kind of. You got like, I don't know, sort of like a whip type thing. Maybe like a Zelda Castlevania type thing. It looks really good. That's coming out, and they have 4 days to go as of February 27th. They're over $1 million, so they're crushing it. And you can get into this game for a physical copy is $100, which seems a little steep. Like, you get all these other bonuses and stuff, but it's $20 to get the digital game, your choice of platform. So I think, I don't know. I'm on the fence if I'm just going to support this here or just buy it later on, PlayStation Store or Nintendo Switch. Seems like maybe the place to play this thing. But yeah, good on them. This game looks pretty good. Have you checked this one out, Mike?
I did see that as it come in and had a look at it. Yeah. I don't know if you were on that news, but I mentioned a couple of newses ago, maybe 2 or 3, that I modded my 3DS and then went back and played some of the indie titles available on that, and Shovel Knight was one of them. And there was a few others of the kind of modern indie retro inspired titles that Simon always talks about and gives me grief for not playing. So I did go and check Shovel Knight out on the 3DS. The graphics are tiny, like really small. And I think they're small on other platforms as well. It's just on that particular screen there, even smaller. But yeah, good game. So I'd definitely check this one out. Something else you might want to check out. Hideo Kojima has launched a podcast. The podcast, which is simply called Hideo Kojima's Radioverse, is available on Amazon Audio. And in each episode, he'll host a variety of guests while they talk about deep topics related to games and movies that cannot be heard anywhere else. So if you're a Hideo Kojima fan, a podcast fan, a video game fan, check it out.
I haven't listened to this yet. I might check it out. Is it in Japanese?
I was just skimming through the story to see, but it doesn't say. I have seen interviews with him where he speaks Japanese. I'm not sure I've ever seen him speak English. But, I mean, it's on Eurogamer, this article, so I would imagine it's English. I don't know. Oh, here we go. Sadly for many of us, this podcast is currently only available in Japan and in Japanese. So,
Yeah.
however, there is hope those of us outside of Japan may be able to get our fix at some point soon. So, whether it won't be the same if people translate it, I guess, but I don't know. I've never actually seen him speak English, so
Mm,
better brush up on your
what is it?
Japanese.
There is a transcript. Um, it's called Thyssen, THISTEN.co. A lot of the bigger podcasts get translated and get transcripted,
Right.
so might be somewhere to check out in the future
Yeah.
for that. Yeah. All right, let's see. Where should we go next?
I'll just warn people, I need to blow my nose every so often. I've got a dose of the man flu, so I'm moving away from the microphone. I'm trying not to sneeze and cough all over the place, but I am blowing my nose.
You got that COVID, that good COVID,
Maybe.
which seems to have disappeared for the most part, thankfully.
Yeah.
Okay, so Lazy Dave sent one in, and this is God's remastered being delisted from sale in March. So if you hear this, you got I guess a very small window. It's the final sale and remastered to be delisted on all platforms March 27th. So Robot Riot first announced on January 30th that Gods Remastered, their updated release for the PC platform from the early 90s, will be removed from sale on all marketplaces on March 27th. And then they followed it up saying, let's see, won't be available to new customers. Hasn't been around for very long. Originally, it was on Steam and Xbox One, 2018, and then it was on Switch, PlayStation 4. But I guess it has to do with something, the official license from Bitmap Brothers owners, Mike Montgomery. Something going on here. So right now, you can grab it for $1 on Steam, Switch, PlayStation 4, Xbox One. I don't know. Might still be worth picking up for cheap. It was a pretty cool game. But yeah, going away. The problem with all these damn digital games, you know?
It is. It is a problem. There's an indie game here sent in by me called Stranded Miners in Space. And it's. We all know the game Hero, you know, where people are trapped in the cave and you've got to work your way down, avoid the spiders, and drop dynamite to blow up walls and what have you, and rescue the miners. It's not a remake of it, but it's, very similar gameplay, same idea, but I think it's slightly longer, maybe. Still that old classic retro style look. You can purchase it for $2.99. Let's see what platforms it's on. I'm assuming it's PC. It doesn't say a specific platform, so I'm assuming it's PC. But there's a video on the link, which will be in the show notes, as will all the links we mention. And you can look at some screenshots and video of it there. It does look really interesting.
See, and that's like one of the things that I do like about digital. It's like, man, sometimes there's just like crazy deals. Like you can get something for 99 cents or $2 or something, and there's just no way to get a physical copy that cheap, you know, unless it's like scratched up ass disc missing the manual or something,
Yeah.
and you know.
But I guess, and with something like that, you know, you download it, you buy it, you download it. It doesn't need servers. It doesn't. Well, I presume it doesn't need updates. But you download that game today, and if you keep it somewhere on a hard drive, on a pen drive, on whatever, you'll be able to play it in the future. You know, as long as your PC platform will support it, you'll be able to play it. So, yeah.
All right, so My man James sent in Sega does what Nintendo don't. And so I'll just, for those of you that aren't in the United States, anytime something just bizarrely fucked up crime related happens, it's usually one of two places. It's Florida or Ohio, like every time. So, of course, in Florida, a man was wearing a Sonic mask, tried to rob a bank. In February, he came in. Police were dispatched into attempted bank robbery in DeLand, Florida. There was a guy that went in there wearing a Sonic the Hedgehog mask and wielding a large hammer. Um, I don't, I don't even know like why you are trying to rob a bank with a hammer. He was demanding cash from the employees and banging numerous times on the window with the hammer. Um, they stopped him from slamming the window with the hammer, and then he escaped on foot. So there you go. I guess maybe not the best tactic is trying to rob a bank with a hammer wearing a Sonic the Hedgehog mask.
Probably not. I wouldn't advise robbing a bank in general, to be honest. Chances are you're
No.
going to get caught. One here from David Gyrick, a new GBA release. Get a game and support a good cause. And this is an article on Nintendo Life. It's a Game Boy. Is it Advance or is it just... Yeah, it's GBA puzzle game coming out this year. And if you purchase a copy, a portion of the sales are being donated to a food bank. So get yourself a puzzle game and support a good cause. Thank you, Lazy Dave, for that.
So I sent this one in. This was from The Escapist. It seems nothing is immune to the effects of inflation, and this will tie in with another one that is coming back. I'll follow up this story with, but yeah, your old Maddens, those games, sports games, still worthless. But this is a pretty interesting article talking about how the price of retro games as a whole. They basically use pricecharting.org. They reported the prices as of April 2021. They looked at them now. And during that time, the average price of games aggregated, the sales increased 33% on average. Now, again, some of those games, that's the aggregate. Super Mario World saw a pretty big jump. Some of these games fluctuate a little bit. Some of them probably dipped, and like they said, your Madden is still worthless, but um, interesting. And I think that with what Wada is doing with the sealed games and stuff, probably ties in, makes these even more collectible because people are maybe buying stuff thinking they're going to get them graded for even bigger prices. But yeah, don't get rid of those old games, guys. If you have sealed games, I remember that Michael Thomason a few years back when he was trying to sell that massive collection. I mean, I wonder, if he had held out or waited for a lot of these things to get sealed and graded, if that would have substantially increased the value of some of that collection. But I don't know what portion of that was opened, but I have to imagine he had quite a bit of sealed stuff. Um, this article goes on to say, uh, just Xenocast episode 3 will be $200 for a copy in good condition. Mega Man Star Force 3 Red Joker is going for $260. And that's just unopened. Loose cartridges for the N64 used to go from 15 to $20 are now going for 40 to 45. So yeah, it's getting harder to be a collector of physical things, I guess.
Yeah, there's one further down. I'm just looking for it while you're talking about collecting. Tons of sealed games. SNES, Genesis, Sega CD, Saturn, 3DO games have been found in a storage facility. And these are all boxed and sealed. I think there's multiple copies of each game. I did see this as it came in. A video game reseller has discovered hundreds of factory sealed Nintendo and Sega games from the 80s and 90s inside a storage facility in Nebraska. And at the time this came in, it hadn't sort of been gone through and they hadn't said what was in there, but there were pictures of, them opening boxes, and literally these things are in brand new condition, whether they'd get them, kind of graded, or whether they wouldn't bother and just sell them as is. I don't know. With all the stuff that's been going on with Wata recently, but yeah, an amazing find anyway.
And interestingly enough, Chris, the gentleman that sent that story in to us, his comment here was, I don't collect too much anymore since prices skyrocketed and rely mostly on emulation. And there you go. I mean, people a few years back that might want to pick up just, hey, pop it in, play it on original machine. When you used to be able to pick up some of these games for 15, $20 at a garage sale or whatever. Now, everybody thinks that they have the next $1 million copy of Mario that's going to sell on Heritage or something. But yeah, certainly I would think to unlock the value of this massive collection they found in the storage facility, they would want to get some of that stuff graded, just because it's unopened, right? So it's going to grade high. That's how they're going to get maximum value out of it. If they try to just sell it, they're not going to get nearly as much. So you're going to have to invest a lot of money to sort of unlock the full value on it.
Yeah. Another one here. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. Game Boy versus Boy Racers. And this guy has taken an original Game Boy camera and modded it with a DSLR lens. And he's been taking pictures of racing cars with it. At 0.1 megapixel. I'm not sure why you would, but yeah, you can, certainly. Well done.
Did you ever have one of those like things for an iPhone where you could put like a little lens on your phone?
I've never had an iPhone. Well, I did have years ago for work once, but I used to have, maybe it's what you're talking about. It's like a set of 3 lenses with a magnetic ring around and you stick them.
Yeah.
Yeah. But when cameras had one phone, I mean, I'll show mine on camera now. There's like 5 cameras on the back of this thing. So, wrong camera. I'm on that one at the moment. Let me spin the camera around. Let's use... where's that gone? Let's use that one. There you go. 5 cameras. So, yeah, I mean, so it had like a telephoto, a fisheye, and a macro lens. So, yeah, I did use it, but I don't take that many interesting pictures like that. And the cameras now, you don't really need anything like that. They'll just do it. This thing's crazy, the camera on this.
Yeah, my phone is quite crazy. David Gyrich sent in another one saying, it looks like the digital future is inevitable. But what happens when they shut down the stores like Nintendo will? So in this story, it looks like physical console games are becoming relatively niche market. So they do some analysis here showing disc and cartridge are coming rarer and rarer. There's some very curious charts here. New U.S. console system video game releases, how basically the number of unique titles distributed are significantly, I mean, it's basically a 10-to-1 digital to physical copies. I think some of that's going to be inherent just because of the way PC gamers have been playing on, all the different stores from the different developers. You got the Activision one, you got Steam, you got games for Windows, all these different marketplaces. I think with the phones, the gaming there, you got some of these consoles now don't even have physical ports to them. Like there's a digital only version of the new consoles and stuff like that. So Let's see, what are some other numbers that jump out here? Let's see. Uh, Digital games have exploded from 2020 to 2021, a 64% increase in digital sales. If you look at these trends, it just looks like, it's going significantly more into the digital realm. And yeah, because these guys get a cut of it. They can cut out GameStop and all the physical challenges we're having with logistics and people probably not really going too many places for 2 years. So it kind of all makes sense. It's definitely a perfect storm to help push out the old physical games. Um, and you can't really resell those and things like that. So they would love to profit engineer this as much as possible. Let's see. Capcom said last year that a full 80% of its new games were digital downloads. Majority of full PlayStation games sold are going to be digital downloads. Let's see. Sony and Microsoft quoted as saying physical releases are becoming relatively less important. So shutdown of the Wii U and 3DS eShops, which is another story we're going to be reading about. It does not look good. I don't know at what point they force that future. I think that this will likely be the last console cycle with physical games, would be my guess. Probably got another 5-6 years until it's basically a digital future, would be my guess. How about you, UK?
Yeah, it's a weird one. It's because a lot of people who buy modern consoles, there's still people our age who want physical games, but I mean, Steam has, I think, taken maybe a chunk out of console gaming. I think certainly the younger people don't really care about owning the physical game if they can have a good Steam library, and they'll take Steam at the word that they'll always make the games available and run if the servers go down. So whether the PC will overtake consoles or consoles will become digital only, I'm not sure. I think if anyone was going to do it, I think Nintendo would, but I don't think Sony or Microsoft are quite ready to make the leap
No,
yet.
I think Microsoft would. They have all the
Do you?
they yeah, they have all the infrastructure in place. They would love nothing more than to do that. I mean, they have
Well, they all have the
game.
infrastructure in place. I think it's more a mindset, and I think Nintendo were more of that mindset than the other two.
Um,
But having said that, Nintendo
uh,
have just shut down the 3DS and Wii U stores.
yeah, I mean, they have their goofy little cartridges and stuff, and like I don't know. I could see maybe Nintendo hanging on a little bit longer. Where Microsoft, I mean, they have their whole cloud-based system of the business. They're buying Bethesda. They have Activision that they're purchasing. If that passes, antitrust and everything else. I mean, I think that they would be the first to flip because it's not like they're paying somebody else to host the server farm and everything else. I think they're a little bit more vertically integrated than anybody else is.
Hmm.
Where the backbone of I would assume Sony's system probably relies on Amazon Web Services or some other third party. I doubt that they have like a complete vertically integrated structure. Same with Nintendo. I could be wrong. I don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting because if you look at movies, we've gone through VHS tapes, DVDs, Blu-rays, and now people have Netflix and Prime and Hulu and shit like that, and just stream stuff. So it's happened with movies and music as well. You look at things like Spotify, and there's a few others been and gone. And you've got to think that physical music and physical movie sales are way down in comparison to digital ones. So I think I think the market will dictate, and I think it will eventually come to games, whether it's this generation or next. But then I think you'll always have a market. Glenn Minette is in a YouTube chat, and he says, if only games were like music with reissuing of physical copies. I'm getting reissue vinyl press this year, but from the original 1960 analog tapes and on a better quality vinyl, sounding better. So I think there will always be people like that who want, physical movies, who want, laser discs, who want CDs, and who want physical games. But how big is that market, and how quickly is it shrinking? So I think it will come to games. I'm just not sure it's this next generation.
I mean, it's a little interest. I don't know that it's a direct comparison though with the vinyl. I mean, it's more of an established medium that was universally accepted, where you have all of these different game systems that are on various platforms. And the other thing is, I think with being digital only, that kind of circumvents the ability for people to make emulated versions of the games in the future. Um, so there may just be a point where once these games are no longer physical at all, that the back catalog of games that you can emulate will be finite as well.
Um, yeah, it's interesting about you saying emulation. Um, would people in 20 years' time want to emulate? I don't know what's just come out. Last of Us 2. Are people going to want to emulate that? I'm certainly not, but maybe there's people out there who will, or a new Fallout game or something like that. Are people going to want to emulate that? I don't know. I think the people who are playing those kind of games now will just keep moving with the times, because that's what they're doing now. They're playing new games as they come out.
Mm,
Whereas we're not, or I'm certainly not. I still emulate most of my gameplay in is older stuff. Like I said earlier, I dabbled recently in kind of the indie retro inspired scene, but the newest system I own is PS3 or the Wii U. I'm not sure which is newer between the two. But I only got the Wii U for Mario Kart 8, and was it New Super Mario Brothers 2? Because the kids wanted it, and we were playing multiplayer Mario Kart 8. I've no interest in owning a Switch, so I don't play new games. So I'm maybe not the right person to ask.
yeah. I mean, I think you'd have to talk to somebody that is a young gamer now, like you're emulating games from sort of your childhood or teenage years, like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
what will those people at that moment in time think 20 years from now? Like, oh God, I wish I could go back and play that, online only Tomb Raider game. It just doesn't exist or whatever. But anyway, dovetailing into the other story, official announcement from Nintendo customer support that the Wii U and Nintendo 3DS eShops are being discontinued as of late March 2023. It'll no longer be possible to make purchases on the eShop for the Wii U or the 3DS family of systems. Um, no longer possible to download free content, including games, game demos, things like that. Um, as of August 29th, 2022, it will no longer be possible to use a Nintendo eCop card to add funds to an existing eShop account, but you'll still be able to redeem the codes. So they have drawn a line in the sand, and that is it, folks. You have until August 29th of this year to fund your account, and you have until next March to make purchases. It will be possible to re-download games and DLC for the foreseeable future. Yeah, right. We'll see how long that lasts. What, I give it maybe 6 months, maybe a year tops. So maybe to March of 2024, they'll let you still download stuff, and then that will be it. those will be dead stores. So
Yeah, unfortunately, and there's no reason for it. You know what I mean? That, like, if you think about the hardware that stuff's running on, you know that they're not going to put new Switch games on that same hardware. You wouldn't have thought. Maybe they have a different back end. I don't know, and maybe a different front end even. But you would think just leave a couple of servers on with that stuff on for the number of people who are going to do it. You know, why not? Just it's just crazy. But then I suppose if it breaks, they've got to spend time fixing it. I guess maybe that's the driver behind
I,
it. I don't know.
I feel like you could still download PlayStation 3 games.
I don't know.
Um,
I've not turned
I
mine on in
haven't
about 2 years.
I haven't attempted to do it, but because the way the PlayStation 3 and 4 didn't really weren't super cross compatible. So once I got the 4, I kind of didn't use the 3 a whole lot. I lent it to my cousin. In fact, he might still have it, but with the 5, like you can download games from any time frame onto it, which is kind of nice. So I don't know
Mm.
why Nintendo doesn't make it where, hey, you have this game, you can continue to download it. Strange, but there was another story here about a little bit of fuckery that they were doing. Or was it? Did you see that one where they said that they weren't going to be selling games,
Just looking down for it
the
now.
retro games?
Can't see it.
Um,
Can't see the one you're talking about.
mm, Give me 1 second to see if I can find that.
While you do that, I'll just pick up a couple of comments that have gone through in YouTube chat. Arioka said, Amico is a bigger scam than Calico Chameleon. We shall come on to that in a sec. And Goulder, if that's how you say it, says, I think there will be a future desire to emulate games from now. Perhaps that being a broader emulation in VR of the system, the game, and the room you were in when you played it. You can emulate your 2022 house and front room. And Arioka also says you
Okay,
can still buy and download PS3 games, but only via the console, no longer using Sony's website.
let's see. This was just another story I had read on my own about the discontinuation of the eShop and blah blah blah, and how they'll only be able to sell this stuff on the new Switch store. But this article went on to say how that effectively removes the old school retro hits from the market, because you won't be able to purchase some of the virtual console games from these legacy systems. So where you used to be able to buy just, Zelda or Super Mario Brothers 3 or something like that, you'll have to opt into the online Switch service, which is the monthly service in perpetuity where you have access to the library games, but you won't be necessarily able to just like, hey, I just want to buy a digital copy of Zelda and like own that moving forward. That won't be the case, which I think is interesting.
Yeah.
So kind of like what you're saying with the Netflix type thing, it's like you can't just buy the individual movie. You'll have to buy the service, and you'll essentially be renting these things moving forward.
Yeah. Yeah. It makes sense to move to that business model. It's just, I think it's a case of when, not if. But
Yeah.
there will always be people making these little games like this, sent in by Gareth Hamer. Why not have Wordle on Game Boy? I mentioned Wordle at the top. And someone has made a Game Boy port of it, and also a port for the Analog Pocket, which I'm assuming the port kind of runs directly on the Pocket. You could also, I guess, emulate the Game Boy on the Pocket. and run that version, but it does mention down here two separate ROMs. So I'm guessing one runs natively and one is a Game Boy version. So I mentioned a few seconds ago the Amico, and I guess it's probably that time. I don't want to drag on about it again for too long, but it's gone from bad to worse, and now it's become apparent just how messed up the money is. And so, since we last covered it, Phil Adam has been brought in as the new Intellivision CEO, and I was doing some tweeting this last month while Smoke and Mirrors was out on the Humble Bundle. I was tweeting about Phil Adam also being involved in the Chameleon and trying to just get some movement and get some Humble Bundles sold via that common interest. But so Phil Adams come in. He was, of course, involved in the Chameleon, as Smoke and Mirrors will tell you all about. And so Tommy's been moved aside. Phil Adam is now the CEO. Tommy is still involved, but I hope he's not got any access to the financial plans, etc., because they just seem to be in a real mess. They've got details now of people who've loaned money to the company. They were called investors. They're actually loans that are being paid back with interest. And there's one guy in particular, I can't remember his name now. If you want more sort of detailed information on this, just go and watch CU Podcast on YouTube or listen to the podcast, because Pat and Ian go into the finer detail of it. But basically, these people are lending money and getting interest back. But there's this one guy, and he lent them, it was something like $700,000 or something like that. And he got paid back some immediately or almost immediately. And then until he's fully paid back, he gets like $100 off the sale of each and every console. So every console that sold $100 is skimmed off the top straight away to pay this guy back. And now they're asking for more money. They're looking for $5 million to get them through the next couple of months. And there's doubts that will even, last them that long. And what you're basically doing now is you're not paying for a console. If you put money into this now, you're not paying for a console. You're paying these investors back because they want the money. And that's what this is all about. Just getting these people paid back, and then the whole thing collapses. I can't ever see this thing coming to market. I just cannot see it. No way. Just the debts that they're in, the money that they've burned, and they've got nothing to show for it. Literally nothing to show for it. It's just, the whole thing is just absolutely crazy.
Yeah, so just to jump on the start engine thing, I think it's crazy that they're asking for people to invest. Now, I have seen some things that have done well with that type of model, particularly a robot pizza vending machine that has done pretty well, and it's being deployed at some large manufacturing facilities. Where I looked at investing a little bit. I kind of wish I would have and did not. But so on Start Engine, they're asking for a $5 million max offering. And to date, they only have 54 investors. I believe it was at 58 at one point. But they have collected $58,001 raised so far. They put a $30 million valuation on the company, which is crazy for the intellectual property and stuff like that. I just think that's crazy. It's too bad because I like Tommy. I like what he set out to do. I think he was probably just unfortunate series of events that kind of sidelined him. I don't know that they necessarily set out to deceive anybody. I think it was just, woeful, gross underestimation of what it would take. And then, probably just not having the financial power to bring this thing to reality. I mean, Phil Adam is an interesting character, right? He was involved with some of Mike's projects, SoCal Mike that I was involved with. The guy's listed as the chief executive officer. He's kind of bounced around for a number of years. If you pull up his LinkedIn, one of the things he has on there is like, look, I've done plenty of things that I don't list on my LinkedIn. Um, he lists track coach for 6 years as one of his things, that he was in charge of coaching pole vaulters in a high school. Like, I, come on, man. Like, yes, he brought Tetris to the United States, but I almost feel like he's like that one hit wonder or something. It's like, like you could go in a room and you could be like, yeah, Tetris. Yeah, I'm the guy. And maybe you get a second chance from some investors or like people that are in finance that don't really know a whole lot about video games, and they're like, oh, Tetris, shit, that was you, got it, and maybe he was at the right place at the right time. I don't know, but like, if you look at a lot of the other stuff that he's done, he's just kind of bounced around, like a year here, 5 months there, 2 years here. He's really bounced around quite a bit, since he was at Interplay, and Spectra Holobyte before that. So I don't know that he's the guy that can really pull this out of the dumpster fire right now.
I think, but
Um,
I think they're possibly using him in the way that Mike did. Mike was a, for want of a better word, a nobody who was trying to get into the business and make a console, and he couldn't open doors. He couldn't get into Nintendo. He couldn't get into Microsoft and places like THQ that he did deals with. He couldn't open those doors, but Phil Adam could. So he stuck Phil Adam's name on the company and got him involved. And he said, Phil Adam would back that up, and he would make the calls and get Mike in front of those people. So maybe they're using the Phil Adam name now, to maybe do that and interest some backers. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if anyone can save it now, to be honest.
yeah, like I kind of look at him as like the Rick Astley of video game leadership. Like, you got that "Never Gonna Give You Up" song, and everyone's like, "Ah, fuck yeah, I know that, Rick Astley." But like, what else has he done, right? So, other than Tetris, like, yeah, like I guess the guy can open some doors. I mean, I'd love to see this thing get turned around. I've been on record saying, like, I would love to have it for the little cornhole game. I think that looks like fun. Moon Patrol, I played it on my phone. It was okay, but man, this just looks like I don't know what their options are. I think it's just, you probably got to shut it down at some point. Just gross miscalculation, unfortunate events with the global pandemic and supply chains and chip shortages and things like that. I mean, they got people's money. They've invested a lot of time. All reports that the stuff doesn't kind of work right. I don't know.
Yeah,
We'll definitely keep a close eye on it, but
I think we've been musing, and Scott in particular has been musing that, they may be committed to a price, and then, hardware became much more expensive or even unavailable, and they were in a hole at that point. But looking at the finances, and the documents are out there, you can go and look for them. You look at the money they've just burned through. I mean, okay, I'm not saying Tommy shouldn't get paid for what he did, but he's taken, what was it, 1 year he took 96,000 out of it for like a new startup. In television, it's not a startup, but you know what I mean? This project is a new startup console, and he's taking 96,000 a year. He wasn't the only one, and he's loaned money. Well, he's invested money, I should say, and he's taken the interest back on that. So that puts him well over 100K. He's taken out of it, and I'm not saying he shouldn't get paid, but I mean, come on, you can't just burn through money like that, especially when you look at a company like Analog and what they've done. And yes, Kevtris, is the engineer, and he was the man who did it kind of as a hobby project, but did all the work himself, all the hardware himself, the cores himself. And so his costs were fairly low. His time was, a huge burden, but his costs were kept low. So, is it possible for a company now to come out with a console like this? Obviously, the Chameleon didn't make it. This hasn't made it. The Atari did eventually, but I mean, are we now seeing the end forever of these independent consoles when you try and do it in this big corporate way? If you're going to do a console in a corporate way, do you now have to be a Sony, a Microsoft, a Nintendo?
I mean, I look at it, and I know it wasn't popular with some of the other hosts, but I backed the Ouya early. I think day one, I was a day one backer on Kickstarter, and that was a very early Kickstarter,
Mm.
um, maybe in 2012 or something like that. And yeah, it was kind of a very low powered system, um, but it worked. Like I thought the controller was fine. I never had any of the issues that people were having with the controllers. Um, and it was available. Like I went into Target and I bought, like, they had a little end cap for it, and I bought an extra controller. And then the only reason mine doesn't work anymore, and yeah, like, the sales were a little bit lackluster. It never really caught on. It only had a few. I think the Towerfall was the game that everybody kind of wanted for it, and it had some cool little games. I mean, I enjoyed it, for the year or so that it was kind of relevant. But like, that thing was out. Like, they got it out within a year, and yeah, it was kind of underpowered. But for $100, I think it punched above its weight. Like, I got more value out of it. I certainly got more than I paid for, and I was
Mm.
happy with it. I wish it was still around. And in fact, mine would still probably be working, but it used some kind of regular DC power converter, and I had it in a game room where I had like all these damn cords and like different outlets and stuff. And like, I had it unplugged at one point and went to plug it in with something else, and I plugged in, like, I don't know, maybe it was like a remote control car charger or something, and I fried the fucking thing. So I killed it, unfortunately, but I certainly got more than my $100 worth of enjoyment out of it. And and people were side loading things on it and everything else. I mean, God, they should have called up some of those guys or something. I mean, they did it, and this just seems like, uh, I don't know. I don't think it ends well. I'll just say that.
No, I don't think so. Just to wrap the Amico up, something I thought of the other day, and who was it in chat who's just mentioned it? Gould has mentioned it in chat. I wonder how this would have gone differently if Keith Robinson hadn't passed away in 2017. And yeah, Keith brought out the Intellivision flashback, very different prospect, an emulation type console with existing games. But he did it, and you look at what Keith made Intellivision into, and you look at what it's been turned into now, and it's a real shame. A real shame. So, one here from James Easton. And he says, this is called June Spice Wars. He said, not sure if you covered any of the upcoming June game news, but I'm cautiously excited about June Spice Wars coming 2022. We haven't discussed it. I was never a fan of the film, and I haven't watched the new one. It's just not something that really interests me. I found the first film incredibly dull, and I know some people loved it. But the game, for information, will be on Steam, early access 2022. It's a
I'm the same
strategy.
way. I never liked that first film,
Mm,
and um, I didn't read the books. I have several friends that, everyone I talk to said, "Oh, you got to read the books. The books are incredible." And yeah, the film seems pretty divisive. You kind of either love it or hate it. But I'll tell you what, man, you need to give that new one a shot. I mean, it is beautiful. It's one of the best sci-fi movies I've seen in quite some time. And it feels like it's just the appetizer before the main meal. I mean,
Mm.
it's over. It's probably close to 3 hours, and you're like, wow, like it's already over. Like that was so quick. It feels like the opening act to something bigger. So I hope they make more of them. But um, yeah, I would probably check out this game. We'll see what happens.
It's a strategy game. There is a link in the show notes, and that gives you a little trailer, but it doesn't really show any gameplay. It's just atmospheric stuff and some graphics. But yeah, I might give the new film a shot. I'm not sure when I'll have 3 hours spare to sit and watch a film I'm not 100% interested in, but you never know.
Nah, it's good sci-fi, man. I think you'll
I
enjoy
do
it.
like sci-fi, so maybe I'll give it a go. So Doug0909
David,
sent us one here, and it isn't about the Odyssey 2. It's about a neo-Nazi who's been jailed for hiding a bomb handbook in Minecraft guides. So how did he hide it? Blah, 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 blah. He detailed instructions on how to make homemade bombs among popular kids' video game guides. Was he literally just hiding the guide in? No, electronic document was named blah, blah, blah. Yes, so he was making PDF guides, I guess, and putting bomb making information in there. Not sure why you'd do that, but he did, and he's now in jail.
yeah, he looks like a dumb fuck too.
He does.
Like these guys, when they catch them, you're just like, are they like? Every time you see them, you just kind of wonder like, they look like they're on the spectrum or just like kind of dull. This guy
Yeah.
looks like an idiot. So fuck him. He'll be jailed for 3 years or something. Um, Looks like David Gyrick sent in another one, all announced for the recent Nintendo Direct. There's 3 remakes coming for the Switch. Looks like Kelowna Remastered series. That will be available on the Switch, PC, PlayStation 5, Xbox. Did you ever play any of those ones, Mike?
Which one? Sorry.
Kelowna?
No. No, I'm just looking through this now. I did not.
No. Chrono Cross.
I played a little bit of Chrono Trigger, not Chrono Cross.
Yeah, same with me. Never got into Chrono Cross, but definitely did the Chrono Trigger. And then the final one is the front mission. That one, that looks like that would be something Dave would be into. That sort of mech warrior type game. Well, probably Scott too.
Yeah, he did pick front mission for top 10 games never used in a top 10. So you're right, Random would be into that.
But you know what? This one here looks. It does look significantly better. This remake, like I would probably play this remake. The one that he picked just looked so janky compared to like what was the one I said? Armored Core. Armored Core looks so much better, but this looks like something that the graphics are now tolerable. It looks beautiful, so I'll probably check this one out actually.
I'll tell you what you should check out, and just let me add the graphic here because this is a paid promotion. There it is on the stream. I'll tell you what I've been doing lately. I've been wearing my Manscaped boxer shorts, and they are very comfortable. They were actually a bit small when I first got them, but I've been hitting the bike, and now they fit me, so I've been wearing them. I have washed them in between wearings, but you can join the over 2 million men around the world who trust Manscaped to keep their gentleman gardens in order. Go to manscaped.com and use the code RGRoundup for 20% off plus free shipping. You should check out the Performance Package 4.0, which contains the signature Lawnmower 4.0, the landmark trimmer with its skin-safe technology that's even waterproof so you can use it in the shower. The Manscaped Performance Package 4.0 also includes the Crop Preserver and the Crop Reviver, an anti-chafing ball deodorant, moisturizer, and toner. Not only that, but you also get a pair of the aforementioned Manscaped anti-chafing boxers, and they certainly are anti-chafing. I haven't chafed once since I've been wearing them. And if that's not enough for you, the Performance Package 4.0 also contains the Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer, again waterproof, with a 9,000 RPM motor. Trim that nose hair with its 360-degree rotary dual-blade system. All our listeners love technology, and get a load of this. It is wireless charging. Absolutely wireless charging. And you can help yourself to reduce the risk of ingrown hairs and grooming accidents by checking out that Manscaped Performance Package 4.0. And remember, it comes with 20% off plus free shipping with the code RGRoundup and at manscaped.com. Do it today.
I did wear my Manscaped T-shirt to a kids volleyball event and got some eyebrows raised.
I forgot about the T-shirt. Yeah, I should get the T-shirt out.
When my package, whatever they shipped me, those little promotional, check out our product type thing. It came with a T-shirt, which is nice quality. I like the quality of the T-shirt. Hey, got one in here. Something that I know you'll be added to your shelf is a beat 'em up book. Go Straight, the ultimate guide to side-scrolling beat 'em ups. Your favorite, UK.
Yeah, I'm all over
This
this.
one is on Bitmap Books. You get the hardcover book with a free PDF for 35 pounds, which, man, that's like a great deal. This is like a 450-page book. There's a deep dive into some of the bigger titles, and then just sort of like a overview of all these different games. I mean, 456 pages, gatefold pages, spot varnish cover, high quality lithographic print, sewn binding. I mean, shrink wrapped, everything ready to go. Man, that's a deal for this book. I mean, this is like college level textbook, thick ass, beautiful. I mean, the layout looks beautiful from what I'm seeing. I'll probably pick this up. I mean, to me, this is like one of those things you pick this up for your library, and then you have no need for sort of the monthly video game magazine anymore. I mean, this is like the definitive library of all beat 'em up games. This is well done. I have that arcade book. A buddy of mine got me that as a Christmas gift this year. I love flipping through that. That's all the arcade marquee art and stuff like that. So this was written by David Cook, an award-winning author. They got a forward from the guy from the Dragon creator. They got some other artists that he's done. George Velez done some well-known art. So this book looks fantastic. I know it's probably not for you, UK, but something I will pick up, and I'm sure a lot of the listeners would be interested in.
Yeah, I'm just looking on my shelf over my shoulder. I have got one of the Bitmap books. I thought I had another. I've got the Amiga one, and it's one of the early ones. So I believe, and it's a softback, but I believe the quality on the later ones is even better than the one I have here. But I thought I had a couple of them. Must be random who's got them. But yeah, they are quality books. Definitely, if you're into beat 'em ups, I would recommend you get that. And speaking of random, he sent one in here. Halo composers suing for 20 years unpaid royalties. The original Halo music composers are suing Microsoft over unpaid royalties. They are Marty O'Donnell and Mike Salvatore, who created the iconic Halo music. And they haven't been getting the royalties for 20 years, which I guess would be a fair sum of money. I'm not sure why they haven't been paid them, whether there's a dispute on whether they're owed them or whether they've just forgotten about it for 20 years and now want it. I've no idea, but they want the money, Microsoft or Bungie, whoever's paying them.
Yeah, like, hey man, 20 years, like, what?
Yeah.
You would think we have like a by marriage family member here that she bought a house like, God, 21 years ago, with a boyfriend, was on the title and mortgage and everything. It left 3 weeks after getting it. And this woman's been paying for it all these years and now like wants to get this guy off of it. And it's like, wait, this has been going on for 20 years. You didn't take care of business. Like, what the hell?
Yeah.
So she's living in a nightmare. You know, you never know why people let things linger as long as they do. So, but yeah, 20 years, like, couldn't sort out your royalties by then. Like,
Yeah.
that seems like, you know, what took so long? What the hell's going on here?
Crazy. I mean, you can't forget about something like that. I know there was a recent Halo thing. Was it a remake of the first one or a new game? I can't remember. Maybe that jogged the memories that there are 20 years of royalties. I don't know, but
We
yeah.
got one here from Charlie. Maybe a new listener. I'm not sure. Don't normally see things from Charlie, but he sent in random. 22 years ago, the Nintendo 64 had more online features than the Switch. So the Nintendo 64 DD remains an intriguing part of the company's history, with an expansion ultimately being short-lived and limited to the Japanese market. It wasn't a commercial success after frequent delays, and it fell too close to the GameCube, but it helped pave the way for new ideas. So, little interesting thing, the disc overview system. This is pretty cool. I mean, obviously, I never saw one here in the United States, but I'm sure the Nintendo fans would love to check out this article.
Yeah,
Full web browser.
Yeah, I had a mate who said he had a DD system that I could have, and then he never came through on it. I don't know if he gave it to someone else, sold it, realized how much it was worth, but never came through on it.
When was that? 20 years ago, whenever the Halo people were waiting for their royalty check?
Yeah, I just remembered today. No, it was about 10 years ago, something like that. I still see the guy, he's a good guy, just never came through on that deal. So Random sent one here. You know what teletext is, right, Sparkle?
Yeah.
So this is a way on a Raspberry Pi to create your own teletext service. And I thought about this in the past, but doing it on the web, creating a nice CSS that would recreate the look and feel of teletext. I may do it one day, I may not. But this is a way to do it, but you pipe it kind of through to your TV, so it comes through on your TV, whereas I was looking to do it just on the web. But there's full instructions and links and everything in the article Random sent.
Let's see here. I'm going to read one and I will send it in afterwards, but this is building a retro gaming super console with $100 and a Raspberry Pi 2022 edition. So, things are in short supply. An older Pi can still get the makeover. So it's a little definitive guide about basically putting together your nice little retro console out of a good old Raspberry Pi board. And, there's a way to get this done and have a nice little system for about $100. So you don't have to shell out crazy money.
You don't, and the Pi 4 is great for that. I've built a few on various versions of the Pi, so I've got the latest and greatest on the Pi 4. I've also got one that if we ever go to an expo with a booth again, will work on the TVs. It's a Pi, I think it's a 1 or a 2, I can't remember. So it's just got the older classic stuff on, but it would work on the TV. Obviously we have CRT tubes in the booth, so I'm looking forward to taking that to an expo and playing that. It's just so easy to set up. It's super easy to get working. And as Sparkle says, if you can't get your hands on new hardware, there are multiple ways to do it. The Mister has become quite popular as well. That's a bit more of a layout financially than the Pi stuff, but looking good for the future for emulation. Whether you're emulating today's games or the 90s, 80s, 90s games, whatever. So, what's this one sent by David Gyrick? Final Fantasy VII 25th anniversary hack changes movie models. I did click on this when it came in. I'm not a huge Final Fantasy fan. I played a lot of, I've said before, I played about 10 hours of 7 and gave up because it went nowhere. And they basically changed the FMV sequences in the game if you want them to look more better, if that's what you're into.
Yeah. Hey, you sent in this one. Netflix is turning Bioshock into a live action film. Netflix is hardly a stranger to the world of video game adaptations and has chucked another beloved property onto its increasing teetering pile. This time, set its sights on turning Irrational Games' acclaimed underwater shooter Bioshock into a live action film. So, yeah, it looks like they're going to follow the premise of, Rapture or Columbia, something like that. Andrew Ryan's, sort of dystopian future world. Let's see, sometimes these things like they don't really go anywhere. Let's see, yeah, here it goes. Uh, Not quite sure when they're gonna pull something. So sometimes they buy the script or they green light these things and stuff like that, and they don't necessarily get made. Especially like in the world of comic books. Anytime like somebody's name is attached to a potential movie or property, like their first appearance comic book just shoots up. And a lot of times these things don't go anywhere. So, eh, you know, Netflix is pretty good about uh, going places and sticking to things that they greenlight. But no, yeah, no writer or filmmakers attached. So still really early on the speculation. This thing may never get made. Wasn't it years ago? Like somebody had remember there was going to be like an asteroids movie. Somebody bought the rights to it or something. Like where the fuck's
Yeah.
that? Like
Was it Asteroids or was it Missile Command? Was it Missile Command?
it, I think it could have been both. To be honest, I think I remember we were talking about like asteroids. Like what are they going to do with that? Um,
Yeah. Just a video of the
there's
gameplay.
not a whole lot to work with there, or same with Missile Command. I mean,
Yeah. There's something here
some
that does give you something to work with, sent in by random. PS2 memory card ISO loader offers classic gaming bliss. It's an article on Hackaday. And there's been the PS2 memory card hack around for a long time now. I've got one just in the next room over there with the hard drive. So it's the big fat PS2 with the IDE hard drive in the back. It gives you the network socket and so you boot off, the memory card and it lets you browse the games on the hard drive. But this makes it a step easier. You've got to buy the hardware, obviously, and it's a PS2 memory card with a micro SD slot on it. So you put your software on that, and you can dump your ISOs onto the micro SD, and it gives you a browser to browse your list of games. You pick one and you play it off the micro SD. Obviously, you would need as fast a card as possible for those load times, but yeah, neat device, neat idea, and I think the PS2 is it's obviously a massive library, probably the biggest library ever, and there's some gems in there that I will get to one day. I've played a few. Not really explored it too much, so I've got all that to come. I don't need new games and new consoles. I'll just move up a generation to the PS2.
nice. So we got a little bit more movie news here with Sonic the Hedgehog universe being expanded as Sega and Paramount sign off on a third film and a Knuckles spin-off series at Paramount Plus with Idris Elba reprising his role as Knuckles. So looks like they've gone full in. There was a Tuesday Viacom investors call, which interestingly enough, Viacom has now changed their stock ticker to Paramount. I just think you're seeing some consolidation in the industry. Paramount's really trying to get their thing going. They got the Paramount Plus TV with like some of the Star Wars stuff. They're combining the Nickelodeon and some of that other those other things. So they're all looking for their exclusive content. It was so nice when all this started, when it was like you had Netflix and that's kind of all you had to worry about. Now everybody has their own separate shit and they're all looking for, a reason for you to come over there. So it's like we thought it was going to be so nice with your one-stop shop, and now you got to have Paramount Plus, Apple Plus, HBO Max. You gotta have Hulu, Disney Plus. Yeah, it's just like all over the place. But yeah, it looks like they're gonna do a little a series now, like more of a TV show. Sonic 2 is coming. The first one broke a bunch of records, so yeah, must be doing well for them to keep dumping money into it. Did you end up watching Sonic the movie?
I haven't yet. No,
Yeah,
no.
it's pretty good.
Yeah, I believe so. It was on the list, but then it kind of slipped down the list. I'll get to it. I will do. It took me a while to watch what was the Christmas one? 8-Bit Christmas. Took me a while to watch that, but yeah, I will watch the Sonic movie at some point. But yeah, it's interesting you're saying about all these, streaming services. It's like people cut the cable to get this one-stop solution now. We're putting back the cables.
Yeah, it's just a digital version of it.
Yeah. So, interesting one here sent by me. DeLorean coming back with an electric car. It's the DeLorean Evolved. Not too much info at the moment, but they are firing up production at their global headquarters. Who knew DeLorean still had a global headquarters? At Port San Antonio in Texas. And the kind of teaser they showed was the silhouette of the iconic DeLorean car with its gull wing, but it's going to be an electric vehicle. So we'll stay tuned for more information. DeLorean didn't go too well the first time. I hope they may have a better shot at it this time.
Yeah, maybe it'll be powered by a flux capacitor. You could dump your garbage in it, and it
I
will.
hope so.
It sort of should, like that would be awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
So another one from David here, that the Sega Genesis database. It's a user-friendly way to browse Genesis games, and the guy is planning on having manuals uploaded soon. So this is at vgcomplete.com, and you can kind of browse all the games. It's pretty simple UI, nicely done. Just like all the box art, you can kind of click on here. You can see a little screenshot, get the manual. There's a quick description of the game, who published it, the genre, the year it was released, how many players, the play modes that it has. There's even a shot of like the front of the box, the back of the box, the cartridge. Looks like most of the videos here are linked to a YouTube video, so that gives me a little pause. Like, if somebody ever takes those videos down, I think it will, kind of stink. The only thing this is missing is a link to the damn ROM.
Yeah. Yeah. I did have a look through the site. Well done, site. I did, if that's what you're into, if you're looking for info on a Genesis game, then looks to be the place to go. Manuals would help. But there are sites, replacementdocs.com, I think it is, something like that, where you can find a lot of that stuff. But who was it? One of our listeners was scanning in, was it magazines or was it manuals? I can't remember, but really high quality scans, like a manual or a magazine is like 300 meg. It's crazy. But was it Andrew Costin who was doing that? I can't remember. Andrew Costin or Stephen Stuttard, but yeah.
So this VG Complete, they are looking, they have the Genesis done, and it says coming soon that they're doing the NES, Super NES, N64, PlayStation 1, which would be massive, and then also the Dreamcast. So they are taking donations, and they are soliciting contact for missing manuals. They have a list of all the manuals that they are looking for, so you can support them, support this project via financial donation or maybe doing some scanning work for them. So it's kind of cool to see the community come together on something like this.
Yep, one here from David Gyrick, and it is new Mega Man manga. And he said, I've clicked off it. Well, he said, here's a nice video. Come on. No, he says that, well, that's certainly an interesting way to take the character. And it's a link to Twitter. And the post says, Mega Man grew up and peaceful days were restored after the fight with Dr. Wilkie. Now Mega Man is struggling with his daily life as a dentist. So who knew Mega Man was a dentist? So if manga's your thing or Mega Man's your thing, you might want to check that out. This one does look good, though, sent by Neil. Here's a nice video showing someone's Smash Brothers tribute on the C64. And it's called Awesome Slam Siblings. But it does look interesting. I'm not a Smash Brothers fan per se, but interesting that they've done it on the C64. Ironic title. And there's a link to a YouTube video of it running there.
So something else that you probably won't be getting is the Capcom Fighting Collection, which is coming out June 24th. Has 10 different games, got like Puzzle, Street Fighter 2, Turbo, Red Earth, Cyberbots, Darkstalkers, Night Warriors, which is another Darkstalkers, Vampire Survivor, Vampire Hunter 2, Vampire Survivor 2, Street Fighter 3, Super Gem Fighter. I think that's all 10. But yeah, it's coming out to Steam, PS4, Nintendo Switch, Xbox One. I gotta imagine that if you get that PS4, it'll play on your PS5 too. And I don't think we have the story, but Street Fighter 6 was announced. Did you see that story?
It's familiar. I thought someone sent it in. Maybe no. I don't see it here now.
The thing that I saw was, so I'm in the creative space, and that Capcom announced Street Fighter 6. They put out a teaser trailer, and it has a logo, and basically everybody has just been roasting this fucking thing because it's literally like a stock image that they took and they did like a slight modification to. So it's like a $4 piece of stock art that you can purchase that they made their logo out of. And then all these different creatives and designers have been like, hey, your logo sucks. Like, you should make it like this. So now there's like all over social media, people doing like different renderings of the Street Fighter 6 logo. So that'll be coming out too. It's kind of curious. Just, it's kind of funny to look at what all these guys are putting together for better versions of logo. It is sort of like this weird time where, logos are so simplistic these days. It is kind of hard to stand out because it's like they're all soulless in a way. It's not the beautiful sort of marquee art that you used to see in the arcade with all the colors. Everything's just so minimalistic, white and black. So it's kind of hard to stand out. Whether or not they actually ripped off the stock art to make this logo, and somebody in their creative department just bought a $5 logo and slightly modified it. Who knows? I just think it's easy to kind of come to the same result because the logo is so simple. But yeah, kind of interesting.
Yeah, I just got kicked out of news, so I don't know if there's a problem with the server or not. But we did get that Street Fighter 6 article. And the title I gave it was "People Think They Can See Ryu's Dick in Street Fighter 6 Reveal." I don't know if you can. Can you still get in news?
Error too.
Yeah, looks like there's an issue there. I do have a copy of them offline. We've only got like 4 left, I think.
It was the Weird Al one. You want to do that?
Yeah, so there was on pinballnews.com a new Weird Al Yankovic pin, Weird Al's Museum of Natural Hilarity. Weird Al is, I guess he's more popular in the States than he is here. I don't know how relevant he still is today, But we got like I remember in the 80s we got like his version of Michael Jackson's Beat It called Eat It, and we've had a few, but all around that era kind of thing. He pretty much died away after that. So I don't know how relevant he still
Yeah,
is.
I don't like. I feel like he has like a very loyal niche base.
Mm-hmm.
Of like diehard fans. I mean, he was certainly much bigger in the late '80s when he was doing sort of the smells like Teen Spirit, like the Nirvana and like the Michael Jackson. I
Mm.
remember having like some tapes and stuff when I was younger, or like some of my friends, like when I was in elementary, like their older brothers had some of his tapes, and he was like kind of more of a thing. And I think he had like a movie UHF that he was in. And I think he's just like a caricature of himself, like people recognize him because of the hair and stuff like that. I don't know how relevant like his music sales are, but I feel like he has like a bit of a following.
Yeah, I wonder how much of that
Mm.
following plays pinball.
That's something I didn't mention in news. Just to circle back, I did go to a pinball arcade twice in the last month, and I did get to play Godzilla. Um, Man, I put in $5 or $6 because I think it was like no, you get 3 plays for $2 or something like that. And man, like I kept hitting matches. I got really lucky, and I love that new Godzilla pinball. That thing is great. I was playing that, and they had the Mandalorian right next to it, and was playing Mandalorian, and just kind of kept going back to Godzilla. I was doing so good and just having so much fun. They had the I don't know whatever the highest level model version was, so it had all the bells and whistles. And I hadn't played Rush before. They had Rush there. And that game kind of sucked. And quite honestly, I don't know that I really like a whole lot of Rush music. I was like struggling to find because you could select the different songs you want to
Yeah.
play, and I was like, of course, everyone, play Tom Sawyer first, and I'm like, what else do I really want to listen to here? Have you played Rush Pinball?
I've not played any of those you've just mentioned. I didn't think Tom Sawyer was on it because we got that news article maybe last month or the month before, and we read the list of songs, and Tom Sawyer wasn't there. Was Tom Sawyer on
It was
it?
it. Yeah, it's a hundred
Right.
percent on there.
Right, okay. Maybe it's just on the LE or something. I don't know, but the list of songs we read out, it wasn't there. No, I would play all of those you mentioned. I haven't seen them, so just haven't got the chance to play them. Did you go back and try Stranger Things again? Was it you that didn't like it?
Yeah, I still don't like the way the middle of the playfield works. Um, Man, Godzilla is one of the better ones I've played in quite some time. I mean, I really like the new Ninja Turtles. Um, Not a big fan of like Guns N' Roses as much as I like their music. Um, and I really wanted to like Mandalorian, um, but I just had a hard time getting into the upper playfield.
Mm.
So maybe with a lot of these pinballs, man, like you need a long time to really understand the rule set and how to have
Yeah.
fun playing the game. But for whatever reason, I just like clicked really quickly with Godzilla. It was just a ton of fun. There's a lot going on in that game. I think everybody kind of has an individual preference on like how fast or slow they like the table. Um, I definitely like a slightly faster
Oh, they
table,
like the
but
table.
not like just completely ripping speed like Iron Maiden. Like I would love Iron Maiden if it was just a little bit slower.
Yeah.
It's a little too fast for me, but I don't know. Godzilla, like if you see it, like yeah, you definitely the multi ball is great. Just a lot of fun.
Yeah. Hopefully next expo they'll be there. Yeah, just never come across them. It's not Arcade Club doesn't tend to have the newer games like that, so you're looking at private owners taking them to expo over here for the most part anyway. So still can't get on the news, but like I said, I have them offline here. Rarest and most valuable Snes games. I can't get on the actual list, or can I? Yeah, probably. It's a Racket Boy article. These come up every so often. He does a different library or what have you every so often. And it's a decent site as well, Racket Boy. Usually pretty well written. Let's have a quick scan down the list. Nintendo Power Fest. 1994, $10,000 to $23,000. Campus Challenge, $4,000 to $7,000. Let's have a look at one we've heard of. Donkey Kong Country Competition Cartridge, $3,500 to $4,000. Star Fox Super Weekend Cartridge, $3,000 to $4,000. Aero Fighters, $900 upwards. Earthbound, I thought that might be more. $350 to $4,000. That's quite a range. How can you have such a range on that thing? Castlevania Dracula X, $360 to $1,550.
Wow.
Yeah, we mentioned Mega Man earlier. Mega Man X3, $300 to $1,500.
You know what, Mike? I'm guessing that is like a raw grade versus like a
10,
WADA, grade A plus whatever. That's probably what that range is right there.
Yeah,
because it works like that with other collectibles. Like once it's sealed and graded, it's so much more.
I'm just seeing if they mention kind of the criteria, but the first is the average daily selling price, which is typically the going rate for the cartridge by itself. The second price is the highest daily selling rate of recent history. There you go. Another pinball story. Barry Osler has passed away. Let's just pull up that article. We can have a look at what Barry Osler did. I think this is maybe about a week old, this story, something like that. If it will come up, there it is. Pinball designer, obviously. He'd recently started working for American Pinball. He'd been at Deep Root Pinball before that, and obviously been in the industry a long time. He'd been undergoing cancer treatment, and he was age 70. He has a long and illustrious career designing pinballs for Williams, starting in 1978. With his first game, Phoenix, and ending in 96 with Junkyard. He was responsible for Gorgar, the first speaking game, Space Shuttle, widely credited with saving the pinball business in the mid-80s, and Comet/Cyclone/Hurricane trilogy. And he also did, worked on, certainly, Pinbot. So it's got Bad Cats here, but I don't know what he did on that. But I thought that was a Python Angelo game primarily. But there you go.
There is one that got sent in from Neil. It was a Awesome Slam Brothers Siblings game.
Oh yeah, I did that. That was the Super Smash Brothers on C64.
Okay, you did that one?
Yeah. Oh yeah, we're back up. See if I can get in there. There we go. What's this one from Ryan Anderson? This beats the endless Russia/Ukraine news. An article on Kotaku. Oh yeah, that was the Street Fighter one. That's why we couldn't find it. Scrolling down, it didn't have Street Fighter in the title. People think they can see Ryu's dick in the Street Fighter 6 reveal. And I think that rounds us out.
Yeah.
All right, quite a few articles there. Thank you if you sent them in. Thank you for thinking about sending them in. Even if you didn't send one in, thinking about it is almost enough. Your next step is to actually send them in to news@retrogamingroundup.com. And we will read them out and discuss them on the show, a bit like we've just done. Or a lot like that, actually. So we didn't announce this one. As I said, it was all a bit rushed. Been a tricky month, as we said at the top. We shall try and be better organised next month and maybe announce it, get a few more in live. We've had a few popping in and out, still a few in there chatting away. What was I going to say? Oh, yeah, we got another interview in this month. You will have heard it. Great one with the Sinden light gun, Andy Sinden. And we are looking to get another one for next month. I think Sparkle is working on that. So we'll hope to bring you another one next month. So thank you for listening. If you're listening to the podcast and not live, don't forget to listen right to the very end. You won't regret it. And if you're in chat, you're about to be kicked out of chat because I'm going to end the stream. But thank you for being there. You know it means so much to us. It brings a tear to our eye knowing that you're out there. So thank you, and we will talk to you again very soon. Good night, everyone.
Play to win.